Welcome back to Success with Steven. My name is Steven Smith. On this channel, we discuss all things financial literacy. Now, in today's video, we're going to be revisiting one of the most important entry points into the Navy Federal Credit Union ecosystem. Navy Federal has officially replaced the NReward secured card with the CashRewards secured card, and that was back in April of 2025. And that single change altered how rewards work and how graduation works and how powerful this card actually is. Back in January of 2023, I personally opened a secured card with Navy Federal and I deposited $200. Now that card went on to graduate into a CashRewards unsecured card with a $2,000 limit, which then enabled me to get the Navy Federal flagship Visa as well as the Go Rewards card, which eventually led me to getting the Go Biz business card. And then that actually gave me the opportunity to get a lot of credit line with Navy Federal as far as personal loans, auto loans, and a lot of other products. And today I'm going to give you a surefire path to get this process started for yourself. This is based on personal experience and some updated Navy Federal policy information, as well as internal data points and real world outcomes from someone who actually graduated their card and has gone on to build massive credit limits with Navy Federal. So if you're rebuilding your credit right now, or you're building credit for the first time, or you're just trying to establish a serious long-term relationship with Navy Federal, then this card is still one of the most powerful starting points available if you use it correctly. So I'll walk you through exactly how the new CashRewards secured card works, how graduation actually happens behind the scenes, and the specific behaviors that increase your odds of graduating as early as possible. And more importantly, I'm going to explain how this one card can eventually lead you to getting $80,000 in credit limits. You can also get business credit products, auto loans, and one of the strongest banking relationships in the country. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. Let's begin by discussing what the CashRewards secured card actually is. Now, when you open the CashRewards secured card, you provide a refundable security deposit. That deposit becomes your credit limit. Navy Federal holds that money as collateral while you use the card. Now, from a reporting standpoint, the card reports exactly like any other unsecured credit card would. It reports utilization, it reports payment history, it reports account age, it reports behavior, and the difference is the risk that's involved when you use a secured card. From a Navy Federal perspective, they're not guessing whether or not you're going to pay. They already have the money that you provided. They're evaluating your behavior. They're watching how you use this credit card when there's actually no risk to them. So this is very critical to understand, because graduation is not about how much money you deposit. Graduation is about whether your behavior aligns with someone that they would want to lend unsecured lines of credit to. Currently, we're on NavyFederal.org, and specifically, we're looking at the CashRewards secured credit card. And I just want to go over the new features and how this card works. I also want you to see how the page looked at the time of recording, because sometimes these things do change. I'll also put a link in the description, so if anything does change, click on that. Should be the same link so you can see any updates that may have occurred. Now, you can build credit and earn unlimited 1% cash back with the CashRewards secured card, and it does have a competitive APR. Currently at this time, the purchase and balance transfer variable APR is 18%. But you have no annual fee, there's no foreign transaction fees, and of course there's no cash advance fees for this card. And one thing that I really like about Navy Federal, which is better than a lot of other secured cards, is that they give you a clear path to how graduation actually works. So you can deposit at least $200, but you can go up to $5,000. That is the max, and you do that into a membership savings account. You need to have a savings account in order to actually get this card and deposit that money. Now, you submit your application. If you're approved, they'll hold that deposit in your account as security, and the amount that you deposit will be your card spending limit, as we talked about before. But after just 3 months, you could be eligible for a credit limit increase. You don't have to add any money to your deposit in order to be eligible. Whether your credit limit is increased will depend on your current credit limit and other factors. So that is something that they do say matters. Depending on what you put can determine whether or not you graduate after 3 months. But I'm going to tell you what they told me later in this video that sort of contradicts that, but I don't think you should put that much emphasis on how much money you deposit. Now, after 6 months, They will review your credit card account monthly to see if you're eligible for an upgrade and a Cash Rewards unsecured card. And once you upgrade, you'll get your security deposit back. Making on-time payments and keeping your balance under the credit limit can help you with approvals for an upgrade to an unsecured card. So again, I love that they go over this. They tell you exactly upfront in so many words what you need to do, but I do think that there is some information that's being left out here. Now, this is something that I was wondering about when I first opened this card, and I'm sure that it's something that you guys are wondering too, and I think it's one of the most misunderstood parts of this entire process. Now, the amount that you deposit does not determine whether you graduate. I know what the website said, but that does not make that determination. You can deposit $200 like I did, or you can do $5,000 and still graduate in the same time frame if your behavior and the way you handle this account is identical. Now, what the deposit does affect is your starting limit after graduation. So if you deposit $200, you should receive an unsecured limit of $2,000 once you graduate. If you deposit higher amounts, your unsecured limit may align more closely with your original deposit, though it's not guaranteed. So here's an example. If you were to use $5,000 as your deposit and your card graduated in, let's say, 6 months, that deposit would be returned to you. 6 months from that date, you could request a credit limit increase for $8,000 max. I also want to clarify this. When you graduate, that counts as a credit limit increase. So after 6 months, you still have to wait an additional 6 months before you can request a credit limit increase. So again, back to the example. You had $5,000, your card graduated. Let's say it graduated and now it is a $5,000 card. 6 months from that date, you could request a credit limit increase for $8,000 max. You now have a $13,000 credit limit in 1 year. And I think that's amazing to go from a unsecured card to $13,000 in 1 year. It's pretty good. However, in a similar scenario, let's say you were to use $200 as your deposit and graduate in 6 months. You would now have a $2,000 credit limit, and that $200 deposit would be returned to you. Now, 6 months later, you can request a credit limit increase and you would have a $10,000 credit card in 1 year. So ultimately, the difference is only $3,000 in a best case scenario. And I think that's the part that most people miss. The long-term growth of your Navy Federal credit profile does not come from the secured card. It comes from credit limit increases after graduation. Whether you start at $200 or $5,000 becomes almost irrelevant once you understand how Navy Federal handles post-graduation credit limit increases. And again, I've personally gone from a $200 unsecured limit at the beginning, right? And then over time, I've gone up to around $60,000 in total available credit with Navy Federal. That's not including personal loans or multiple auto loans. And that's the reason why I always recommend, look, deposit what feels comfortable to you. Don't deposit what you think sounds impressive. Behavior beats balance every single time. If you have $5,000 and you're willing to put that for a starting limit, that's awesome. If you don't, $200 is okay. Now let's go over some data points that I received directly from Navy Federal. Now this was through a chat and I basically screenshot the information, copied and pasted it here. And this was around back when my card graduated. So I would say this was from 2023, like June or something like that. Now the review of your account will be based on an evaluation of your TransUnion FICO 9 credit score, including credit card account history at Navy Federal. Factors such as, but not limited to, outstanding balances, payment amounts, payment frequency, and payment history may also be considered in your review. Since this process is automated, we do not manually review accounts for unsecuring. If an account meets all required criteria, the conversion is processed systematically and the card is converted to an unsecured account at the same APR. The hold is released on the secured funds as part of the process. If the account does not qualify at the 6-month anniversary of the card, it is subsequently reviewed each month thereafter until it does qualify for conversion. Now, let's break this down. Navy Federal confirmed that graduation reviews are based primarily on your TransUnion FICO 9 score and your account behavior with Navy Federal, which is something that they alluded to on the website. Now, they evaluate payment history, utilization patterns, payment frequency, outstanding balances, and overall consistency. Now, that just sounds like a bunch of words, but we're going to actually put that into an effective system that I think everyone can understand. This process is automated, so you can't manually review it, you can't request it, there is no reconsideration line that you could talk about for graduation. The system is looking for predictability and improvements in your TransUnion FICO 9 credit score. So basically, if you behave like someone who understands how to utilize credit, graduation will happen. Now, I took all this information once again, and I came up with a simple game plan of how I was going to graduate this card, and then I'm going to give you the exact same blueprint so you can use this as well. Now, in my personal situation, I did end up graduating after exactly 12 months of having this card. But I do believe if you follow this process, then you can do this within 6 months. Or in a best case scenario, depending on where you are in your credit journey, you might be able to even do it in 3 months. So step number 1, the first thing I did was set up automatic payments to ensure that I can make payments on time. There's no way that can go wrong. I also set up a reoccurring charge that I could make sure would get reported to the card, so that way there would be activity. My goal was to report utilization under 10%. Now, this is something where if you do this, I guess it is easier if you have a higher credit limit, but I did this very easily with a $200 credit line. Now, a couple things here. Again, this matters because a credit card needs to have activity. A card that reports a high balance looks risky, so you can't have $200 on a $200 credit line. That's going to be 100% usage. That looks horrible. What you want to do is have controlled usage. So if you have a $200 credit line, you want to pick something very simple that's like 20 bucks. Look, it could be Netflix, it could be a subscription, it could be Hulu. It doesn't really matter what it is. Pick a small reoccurring thing that you pay for, put it on this card, make sure that it happens before your cycle date closes. That way it reports every month. Set up automatic payments. You will always have a transaction on there that will put you in the perfect utilization, and you will always pay it without doing anything at all. So to clarify, because I know this can be confusing for some people, when your statement cycle closes, that small purchase will be reported. It will not be late, it will be reported, and that will keep your utilization at the optimal level, and then it will pay itself with autopay. Then that reoccurring charge will charge again, and then this process will keep repeating for the next 6 months. Now, the second thing I did was very important because it was in the NavyFederal chat. I made sure that I had regular transactions beyond the autopay amount. Now, NavyFederal makes money when you swipe your card. All credit cards make money when this happens. They make it from interchange fees. So it doesn't behoove anyone to give you more credit or to graduate this card if you only use it for one transaction a month. And once again, this is systematic. No one's manually reviewing this, so there is a certain amount of transactions that the system needs to see in order for you to actually make this card graduate. So I use this card for everyday purchases like gas, groceries, small things, and then I pay those transactions immediately. So you can make a transaction for, like, let's say your gas, maybe that costs like $50. If you have a large vehicle, let's say it's $150 for you to fill up your tank. That can happen, right? Fill it up, and then as soon as that transaction is posted, or it allows you to, transfer that money and pay it off instantly. Just make sure that you do that 5 times. Hey, look, if you drive around and you have to fill up your gas tank 4 times, or you do it every single week for whatever reason, then go ahead and just pay that every single week. You just want to have some transactions, but it's important to keep in mind, you need to make sure that all those transactions are paid before your statement close date, because you don't want that transaction to actually get reported. The only thing that you want reported is that small transaction that will automatically be paid. And if that doesn't make sense or it's kind of confusing, I have an entire video that talks about paying your credit card and how to optimize this. I'm gonna link that video right here. And I believe at the time that I recorded that video, I think my card had like just graduated. So the information kind of falls in line because it's a NavyFederal credit statement that I talk about in that video, if that explanation that I just gave wasn't clear enough. The third thing that I focused on, and I do believe this was the most important thing, I focused on eliminating late payments from my TransUnion FICO report. I also removed any derogatory information that was on TransUnion. So NavyFederal does not evaluate your secured card in isolation. They evaluate your overall credit behavior. During this 12-month period, I removed a lot of derogatory information from my TransUnion report. I removed almost everything around December of 2023, but my TransUnion report still was not completely clear. Now, it had improved significantly. I think at the time I only had maybe 2 charge-offs left, and I graduated January of 2024. Now, a majority of stuff came off December of 2023, and then when I graduated, I do believe they evaluated my account with all of that positive history that I was using and the transactions and utilization, and then they also looked at my TransUnion FICO 9 credit score and saw, wow, this has been greatly improved since we last took a look at it. And then systematically, I got my deposit back of $200. My credit limit was instantly upgraded to $2,000. Now, personally, I think it took me longer than 6 months because I still had derogatory accounts early on. But again, once those started aging and then I had some resolutions, that systematic upgrade did happen. Now, there are a few additional things that I want you to keep in mind. And while some of these may feel like random at first, they are extremely important if you actually want this strategy to work the way it's supposed to. First thing, and this may go without saying, but I just want to clarify, you need to understand that applying for this card will result in a hard inquiry on your TransUnion credit report. So before you even apply for the secured card, you should always start with the pre-qualification tool. And I believe that this step is critical because a lot of people will skip this just assuming that they already know the answer. Don't make this mistake. The pre-qualification tool exists for a reason, and you should never automatically assume that you will need to start with a secured card. You may be surprised by what you qualify for, especially if you already have a decent TransUnion credit profile or a positive banking relationship with NavyFederal. There are plenty of people who assume that they need a secured card only to find out that they pre-qualify for an unsecured CashRewards card or even another product entirely. Now, if you do the pre-qualification and you don't qualify for any unsecured cards, then that's where the secured option will become your fallback, but not your first move. Another point I cannot emphasize enough is that your overall credit profile still plays a massive role in what you get approved for, and that's even with NavyFederal. Because yes, NavyFederal has an internal scoring model, and yes, your relationship with them does make a difference, but that does not mean your credit report suddenly becomes irrelevant. Your internal score and your external credit profile work together, not in isolation. Your internal score is influenced by how you interact with NavyFederal products and how long you have been a member and how you manage your accounts and how consistent your behavior is. Your external credit profile, especially your TransUnion credit report, still heavily influences approval decisions, graduation timing, and credit limit outcomes. A lot of people get confused by this and assume that once they join NavyFederal, they can ignore the rest of their credit profile. But NavyFederal still uses credit models, they evaluate risk, they still look at patterns. These systems are designed to approve people based on financial behaviors, not emotion, not excuses, and not intent. So it really is that simple. Like, if your credit profile needs work, then work needs to be done. There really is no shortcut around this. And watching videos alone will not fix a credit report, but consistent behavior will. This is why I always say that no matter how many videos you watch about cleaning up your credit, about disputing accounts, or optimizing utilization, none of it will stick if you don't change the way you think about money. If your habits stay the same, the results will definitely stay the same as well. You don't want to fix things temporarily and then fall right back into the same patterns that caused the issues in the first place. Credit is behavioral. It reflects how you manage obligations over time. So if you struggle with that, the solution is not another trick or a hack. It's changing the behavior that the system is responding to. When you follow the steps outlined in this video and you stay consistent, graduating this card becomes much more predictable. Now, if you already have the secure card and it has not graduated yet, the answer is almost guaranteed. It's in your TransUnion FICO report. That report will tell the story. It will show whether payments are being made on time with all your credit cards, whether utilization is controlled, and whether there's any unresolved issues that still signal risk. This is where you need to look if graduation has not happened yet. My goal with this video is not just to help you get more credit, but to help you understand why it works the way that it actually does. So whether you graduate in 6 months or it takes longer, the information here should still identify what's holding things up and what you need to focus on. Once you do graduate, this card becomes the foundation for much bigger opportunities. Now, again, if you're someone where you think that maybe you need some help with removing collections or charge-offs or negative information, check out my credit repair playlist playlist down in the description. I have plenty of videos. You can check the comments. Lots of people have had positive feedback. I know that it's going to work for you if you stay consistent, because once you do graduate, this card becomes the foundation for much bigger opportunities. Navy Federal offers some of the best interest rates and some of the highest credit limits that you'll see with any financial institution, and you want to build a long-term banking relationship with them so you can get all of their products. Now that includes auto loans, mortgages, business products that many people never consider because they never get past the entry stage, and this card is often that entry point. And one final thing that I want to mention before wrapping this up is something that catches a lot of people off guard. You can sometimes pre-qualify for another Navy Federal card even before your secured card graduates, and that may sound strange, but it does happen more often than you realize. So periodically, just check the pre-qualification tool. Even if you haven't graduated yet, you may have some offers, especially if your TransUnion FICO report is really good. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you made it to the end, I truly appreciate it. Now, if you have the secured card and you already graduated using some of these steps, please drop a comment below and let people know how long it took you, and drop some data points, because those real world examples will help everyone watching, and it's going to help them make better decisions. Once again, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'd be more than happy to answer that. I'd be more than happy to lend you my experience and what I know. And thank you again for watching. I really do appreciate it. You guys have a wonderful day.